Hello everyone, welcome to our first episode of Beyond the Pitch podcast. And today we'll be unpacking a whole lot of things that have happened from the first three games of the season, with the Liverpool Arsenal game, the British transfer record, and just everything that's basically happened since the season started. And with me here on this our first episode is Mekzy, a very proud Arsenal fan. And for the record, I'm not an Arsenal fan, I'm a Liverpool fan. I banter Arsenal for a reason. So if you're tuned in on this podcast and you're an Arsenal fan, you better get ready because I enjoy battling Arsenal. So you can come at me because I'm ready for all the smokes. Mekzy.
Yeah. So the ultimate Arsenal fan, the best club in England, the main challengers to Liverpool currently this season, and we hope to have an eventful discussion. Thank you.
We've had our first encounter last weekend, the Liverpool Arsenal game, and coming into that game, there was a whole lot of buzz with everybody basically saying people are going to come to Anfield and battle us there because Liverpool have been sloppy with our defense, considered goals at Bournemouth and Newcastle. So coming to that game, we expect, even me as a Liverpool fan, I was scared. I expected you guys to come there and give us a show at Anfield. So what do you think really happened in that game? Why do you think it didn't come out the way you guys planned it?
Well, for that game, there was a lot of challenges, if I should put it like that, because judging from the beginning onset of the season, these are the two best clubs in England as at that game, because we had won 2-2, Liverpool 2 as well. That's 6 points in total. So ultimately, we were all looking for the 3 extra points to make it 9 points. And based on our transfer record, we had these balls, and we felt very good that after 13 years, we were going to get a result at Anfield. But I mean, for whatever reason, it was bent from the coach. I think he had some reservations. There was a lot of drawback. He didn't bring in all our Arsenals. I mean, from the lineup, starting with Merino, there's no attacking midfield. I mean, who delivers the ball? Who feeds? Who supplies our striker? Gyökeres, the best striker currently as we speak. So, so there were those challenges. These are the things that cropped up. And if you had watched the match properly, you could see that first half we dominated. But like I said, we didn't have that finished article to finish what we started. Then the goal from Szoboszlai, that was sensational. I mean, that's besides whatever, that cannot translate to what that Liverpool played exceptional. That goal was just that moment of brilliance, world class. And I mean, so that was it. It was a very close tie, but we keep pushing.
Yeah, just like you said, like Arsenal coming into that game without any creative midfielder. Like before that game came started, actually, I was very scared, and then I saw the lineup and I called my friend and I was like, "It's like this Arteta is not ready for the challenge ahead. It's like he was coming to Anfield not to lose." You know when you set up your team to come and play
very conservative.
like conservative, when you should have come in there. Liverpool was not doing well with their defense.
Very
And
sloppy.
okay, I can understand that Eberechi is new to Arsenal, and you want to. He doesn't need time. He has played like 2 games already with Crystal Palace. He's already in tune with the tempo of Premier League. He should have started. There was no. In fact, Gyökeres was just lost in the game.
So, there was no need to even play Gyökeres in that game if he had no supply. That's how I see it, because there was no connection between the midfield and the attack. It was all over the place. We had Waneri on the bench, we had Odegaard on the bench, we had Eberechi on the bench, and you now have Declan Rice, Merino, and Zubimendi. Zubimendi is a DMF. That's a defensive midfield. You now go towards Declan Rice. He's either defensive or central. He's not a proper attacking midfielder. Merino last season he played better as a striker, because in the midfield is a no-no for us. So those are some of the issues, like you say, like you actually pointed out. There was a lot of conservation from the coach, more like let me not lose. It's not like he wanted to win. It was more like, I don't want to lose this match. And eventually, he lost it to that moment of brilliance. So
now, which brings me to my is Arteta the right man for the job. Because this is his fifth season at Arsenal, coming second back to back like 3 or 4 times now. Like he's like he has done his bit. There's no denial that he has actually done good for Arsenal Football Club. But do you think he's still the main person to take you people across the finish line, like get to people that trophy that you people are expecting? Is this? Do you think he still has what it takes? Does he have new things to offer Arsenal in this new season that can? Because you people have already signed a new striker, which you people said was the reason last season people didn't win the league. You know, people did a lot of recruitment, spent over 200 million. Like, what else is remaining for Arteta to get you people to the finish line to win this very Premier League? Or do you people need a new coach?
Well, for that question, judging by where we're coming from, Arsenal, we're in serious crisis before he came to the club. Same crisis Manchester United is facing currently. They've not been able to come out from that transitional zone. So, by and large, he has done very well for Arsenal, getting us to where we are, putting us back on the map that we are now challenging. Before it was more like let us try and qualify for Champions League, but now we're now having discussions surrounding challenging for the Premiership. But for me, I think his style for currently is a bit restrictive. I see him like a very restrictive coach, and yes, they say defenses can help you gain points, but I don't think without attacking you can't win. That's how I see it. And for me, his attacking style is not. I don't find it very interesting. So I think something has to change. It's either some of the technical crews, they need to get somebody that knows that part of attacking aspect, and somehow too, I also uh, look at it from the style of football they played. Arteta as a player was more. He started like a defensive midfield, then transition once in a while to enter the central, then attack. So I don't think he was more like a more fluidy attacking kind of player when he was playing. Compared to people like Fabregas right now at Como. See what he's doing at Como. It's all about attack. He has no business with defending. So I think something has to give along the line. But I know that this season is a defining moment for Arteta. Without winning anything this season, by the end of the season, it's not going to be fun, both from the fans and from the board. I think we've believed in the process long enough for it to be back to the trophy. Okay. So we are hopeful. At least for now, that's all we have.
So listening to you now, so we can, for us other fans, we can actually say that there is still doubt in some of us now fans that this season Ipu might just end up being the bridesmaid again. That would actually be the wife. Like another something like another new season where people are still expecting to start a new season of where we are expected to win the leagues. There is still some doubt. There is
no. For me, I think this season positions Arteta in a better place to win the league. That's how I see it. For various elements, which I will describe right now. The closest to Arteta right now is Chelsea. Why do I say that? Because Arsenal players, if you listen to, there was an interview Salah did of recent where he said the players have played together over time and they know themselves. So we have players that have actually gelled over time, like our defense line, Gabriel and Saliba. The goalkeeper. We have Timber on this side. We have Miles Lewis Kelly on this other side. These players, they know themselves. So the new intakes we have right now, like Zubimendi, Guy Correz, they just need to understand a few details and blend. Declan Rice has been there. But if you go to Liverpool now, for example, most of your players are new. Frimpong is new. Kekeres is new. What do they call him? Ekitike is new. Weeds is new. Isak is new. They need to gel. If you remember back in the days of Salah, Mane, and Firmino, it took them a couple of seasons before people started delivering trophies. So they need to gel. Same thing with Man City too as well. Right now, they have a lot of new players from their goalkeeper to the midfield. So there is lack of understanding. So and it's going to define a lot of games. Like against Brighton, you could see clearly he defined the game against Brighton for Man City because at some point there was no cohesion. They couldn't play together. It was more like an individual brilliance if you're going to get the result. So I think this season Arteta is best positioned to win a trophy, except he restricts himself. That's how I see it. Except he restricts himself. And when I mean restricting himself, is that he has all the arsenals to go out there. Feed the attack, feed the defense, and you get the results.
Well, our prayer is that he keeps restricting himself. As long as Arsenal doesn't win the league, I'm happy. Anything that will make Arsenal just want to win that league,
well,
it's okay. But anyway, moving on, we've had some really big money moves this season, like Isak to Liverpool, Florent Vase. Liverpool actually broke the British transfer record twice in one season, and they brought in a whole lot of new players like Kekes, Frimpong, Leone, Mamardashvili. Do you think with the new players that have come into Liverpool, you think Slot still has a chance to win back-to-back league, or is there pressure on him to win it? Judging the amount of money Liverpool have spent on new signings, do you think there's a pressure now on Slot to actually go again and win not just the Premier League, but win the Champions League? You know how we left the Champions League last season. I think with the recruitments that happened this season, I think the club is actually going to win not just the Premier League, but actually going on to win the Champions League. Do you think we are with the new signings?
Well, definitely, like you said, you guys bought a player for people spent 400 and something million pounds. Just that figure alone brings pressure.
Of course.
So, and most of the players you bought, apart from Isak, that is Premiership proven, very brilliant player, very exceptional, no doubt about it. It's still the same trail. We wanted Isak, Liverpool went for Isak. We just showcase you people go after the players. But however, the problem, like I say, they still need to blend. And without them blending, it becomes difficult. Last season, people had this guy that went to Real Madrid, Trent and Robertson. They played a huge role in you people's winning, because when they come from the fullback perspective and they bombard anything with Diaz and so these players, they need to gel. So what will determine if you people are ready is how they perform between now and December, because for Isak, he's coming into a new team. He doesn't know the style of play. Same with you guys, but he's coming from German league. I watched the clips a few days ago, and they said he has. I think they say he's the fastest. Whether he's the fastest, it's not more like he runs more. Whether he has the highest run in the Premier League currently compared to other players, but in the German league he was slower because he detects by being slow. He now detects a lot of things. But in the Premier League, he has a lot of game. He has a lot of issues, a lot of people to feed. So he's just all over the place. But in German league, Xhaka was sitting behind him while he operated from the left wing. But now he's playing 10. So all those things, they need to gel. So until they gel, I can't see you guys as favorites currently. So, but as for the pressure is going to be on your coach. I mean, not the least he could get this season is the Premier League. He might not win the Champions League, but the goal is actually the Champions League. But the least he could come home with is that Premier League. Anything less than that, there'll be issues internally.
Yes, no. Coming to your point about the players trying to gel, I think signing those players we signed this season. I think my coach Slot, and Slot was actually very particular about the type of players he was signing. You understand? Even though we got rid of Luis Diaz, if you check last season, I think he enjoys playing people that can play two positions. Like Luis Diaz was switching from the left wing to striking positions at times. So I think there was a conscious effort to bring in players that can interswitch. That was why he signed Ekitike. If I watched some of his matches at I strike Frankfurt, he usually drifts wide and then come in as also a striker. Same thing with Isak. He has that ability. So I think there will be moments of doubts in some games. So I think it should not take them because they are coming into a team that is already established with a style of play, and there was a conscious effort to bring in players that I can actually adapt to that type of play. So even though I know from an Arsenal perspective, you might think it will be a problem, but I think even winning our first 3 games of the season is enough motivation for them to, gel quickly and move on to actually win the Premier League. So I actually believe my team can actually go on and win back-to-back Premier League with Champions League.
Well, like you said, I have my reservations, and my reservation stems from it might be sentiments based on being an Arsenal fan, and also trying to be rational about the team as well. Like I said, you see, if you look at last season, people had a very strong cohesion in that team. I am still referring to Trent and Robert, how they come and support the attack. Then you now see instances from Salah, Diaz, Gakpo, and let's not forget Jota too was very instrumental. He just comes from nowhere. You just see him. Like I remember, was it last season? Like when he scored the winning goal against Arsenal too as well. So these are some of the issues I think people are going to have this season. Because right now you have Ekitike, you have Isak, who starts, and who he benched. Gakpo is also there with his own form too. He plays very well too as well. So these are some of the. Then Salah, if Salah is injured, who comes in for Salah from that point? Then people need to define what role is he going to play. Like I said, in Leverkusen, he was drifting from the left and assisting. Now he's playing number 10 role where he just goes around the field. So these are some of the things people need to put in place. But let's not also forget why people are putting these things in place. Other teams are also coming for people. Like against Newcastle, you saw what happened with 10 man. So you just imagine what happened within those split seconds that they equalized those 2 goals. So these are some of the issues people are going to have. I don't want you to judge your team from the way you people played against Arsenal. I think you guys are a bit weak as far as I'm concerned. Regardless of what people think people are bots now, it's more like individual brilliance, like what happened against Szoboszlai and all that. But I don't think you guys are still up there for now. There's nothing impressive about watching you people currently.
No. I don't. That part of your. Sorry, I don't side with you on that one. Liverpool are still impressive. Well, against Newcastle, we expected it to happen because of there was already a tension between Liverpool and Newcastle with the Isak saga. So I expected what happened at Newcastle to happen, because before the game, few days before the game, their fans were already hyped, gassed up how some of their players were going to come off with red cards. So whatever happened in that game, we expected it. Do you understand? And I think we approached that game in a very calm and so that we can absorb the pressure. But I think what they did expect was them coming at us the way they did. But I'm not going to judge our consequent matches with what happened at Newcastle. I think
you need to judge
from
winning. You guys, the highlight of that match was Newcastle conceded a red card quite early, and they are playing against champions, Premier League champions, with all your recent buy, and they still dominated with 10 man. These are some of the issues you need to start looking at. Against Arsenal, like I said, Arteta was a bit restrictive. If he came out all attack against Liverpool, I believe he would have gotten that result we wanted. But
and our defense also was very impressive.
The defense was impressive because there was no attack. How many times did you try your defense? We didn't really try much now. Wasn't all those
with
and all that.
Madueke and Keke struggle in that game.
You saw the transformation instantly. You could see that there was some penetration. So imagine that penetration was consistent from the first half. But however, let's look forward. At least the transfer season is over. Every club is settled. They know how many players they have currently. So we'll forge ahead from here and see how it goes.
Moving on, there have been some big money moves with different things. For instance, Isak to Liverpool, Ekitike to Liverpool, Kekes, Frimpong, Manu, Yokores, Madueke, this guy from Real Sociedad, what's that his name? Zubimendi, Chelsea, João Pedro, and with Manu also even bought a new striker in the person of Sesko, Cunha, Buemo. And then this guy also moving to Man City. What's that? Tijani Reinders, Cherki. Like the big C's have actually spent money recruiting new players. Now my question is, have these teams actually bought what they need in their hand? With all the big money moves, which team is strategically positioned now to actually go ahead and win the Premier League?
Liverpool. I think Liverpool bought well because starting from they sold Diaz, they lost Jota, Alexander Arnold, Trent. He left for Madrid, and also I think Liverpool really addressed their deficit or the gaps in the team. Like I said, Alexander Isak, very sensational player, but just the manner in which the transfer, the saga went, you don't know actually what transpired behind the scene. But I think Liverpool bought well. They addressed key issues in the team. They brought in Florian Wirtz, just to help the attackers and make the team fluidy. They also have McAllister there. Liverpool is one team that if it gels, I believe they'll do very well. But then going to Arsenal actually, I mean, our transfer window was splendid. It was unprecedented, unimagined. If at the beginning of the season they told me that we are going to spend that much and have half of those players, I'll be rolling on the floor because we've been screaming for years that we don't have a striker, and we got one. And not just anyone. We got a traditional striker. Before now, like you said, Arteta loves players that play different positions, like Havertz, midfield, striking, wing. That's the kind of coach he is. But this one, we went out and we got a traditional striker. The only thing he knows is to be in the opponent's box. We got a replacement for Saka in the person of Madueke. Even though, it was a bit of an underwhelming. For some Arsenal fans, they felt that we could have done better. But I feel that was a very brilliant transfer. Then we also brought in Eberechi Eze because Odegaard, from judging from last season, I believe he has dropped quite. His form has actually dropped. So we needed either a competition or some form of upgrade. So I believe Eberechi Eze
can bring him up to speed.
Exactly, there to match him and give him some competition. Then we also have brought in a defender that replaced this what's this guy's name that went to FC Porto? Kiwo. Yeah, we brought in Hikapi from Mosquera. We brought in Mosquera to deputize Saliba. So I think we brought in Zubimendi to replace Partey. We brought in Noga to replace Jorginho. So it was a very brilliant transfer for Arsenal, just for our coach to gel these players properly and let them deliver the necessary titles that we anticipate. Then you go to Chelsea. I don't know, for some seasons, they just keep buying. I think their policy is crazy. Just keep buying. But in hindsight, I was making mockery of them. But of recent, I'm beginning to see that it is a strategy that is actually paying off for them. Yeah, because they just buy every upcoming talent and sell them for profit. So they actually did well. That's Pedro Estavio. So the boy has this quick feet. He's swift. Like
some people even call him to be the next Neymar.
Exactly. The boy. And that other Pedro too. They bought from Brighton. Actually very good player. Very brilliant, very beautiful. Then the only deficit I think Chelsea had, or what they couldn't address this season, was the attacking midfield. I don't see Enzo as a proper attacking midfielder that can deputize Palmer. I think they should have addressed that position by buying that Xavi Simons that
ended
went
up
to
going to.
Tottenham.
Honestly, I thought he was going to move to Chelsea. I was
Exactly.
surprised. Yeah,
So
Tottenham.
that's the only deficit I see for Chelsea. But aside that, the team is compact. Team is, I mean, they're up and about. Then their goalkeeper. I have reservations with them, but I mean, it's to our own advantage. You should keep making his errors. Then you go to Tottenham. Tottenham actually bought well too. I'm impressed with their transfer business this season. Even though they had a lot of rejections, but I'm still happy that they ended up getting some good players. The Xavi Simons we just talked about. They brought in Kolo Muani from PSG.
Paulinha.
They brought in Paulinha
Came
as
from
DMS.
He has been very impressive.
Yeah, very impressive. And they brought in this guy from West Ham, the Ghanaian guy.
What's that his name again? This boy from West Ham.
Yes, from West Ham. So they actually, they are going to compete, and I like their coach too as well. Even when he was at Brentford, there was this thing about him. He has this stability vibe, that
yes,
he could lose some games, but you'll be sure that he'll be there.
Like he understands
exactly
everything. He knows how to approach everything, the big C's and those ones on their level.
So that is it. Then you go to Man U. Man U, I feel their problem is more fundamental than on the field. Yeah, they just have this problem. If it's in Africa, we say now witchcraft. I think Man U has some witchcraft issues because they bought well. They brought in Cunha, key player for Wolves. Mbeumo, key player for Brentford. These are players with proven track records and results. Sesko from Leipzig, very brilliant player. And yet they are still struggling. Our first match with Man U, I thought they had come back and it's all over.
That was the impression they give.
But going forward, the team is just struggling. One thing is certain that they will always concede. For whatever reason, the team,
even with all the big money signings they did, I think there's still one particular area in that pitch they've not yet addressed, the midfield. Like Ugarte and this Brazilian midfielder. Like he at Madrid, he was very brilliant. What's that his name? Casemiro, very brilliant player, did well at Madrid, but his age is no longer on his side, and he has been making some silly mistakes. I think where their problem is in their midfield. I think they have a solid back, front, but they don't have. If you watch most of their games, even small teams like Burnley, we are exploiting them through that midfield. You see Ugarte making some silly mistakes and all that.
I actually don't feel it's the midfield. Personally, I don't. I just feel there is a problem with Man U. I'm not a Man U fan, but watching them, I know that this team,
this is a total overhaul from the administration.
They just have a problem because if you talk about midfield, they have Mount, they have Bruno Fernandes, they have they have Ugarte, they have Casemiro. These are proven midfielders. Ugarte from Sporting to PSG to, these are, if he was not that good, PSG wouldn't have. But I just feel from the formation, he played 5-man defense that won the wing back Dogu and Diallo. They are always running the whole PB. So I just feel that's their own problem, but they actually bought well, and those players will deliver. Then you go to Man City. Man City, I think the problem with Man City is that they've lost that fear factor.
They've lost that fear, honestly.
People are no longer scared of Man City. Everybody believes they can beat Man City. So I don't want to. They actually did some good transfers, in the market. That's Reinsda and Cheki. They also have Doku, they have Haaland, they have some, but the thing with Man City, I think it's my own personal opinion, but I just feel that some players you shouldn't sell. I'm telling you, De Bruyne shouldn't have left that team.
Even Riyad Mahrez shouldn't have. That is another player they have not been able to replace.
Exactly. But you see, De Bruyne shouldn't have left that team. That's just it. There's no replacement. Beginning of season we thought these Rangers would do that, but obviously going forward, they've seen it now. It's not there. So that's just it. But they've lost the fear factor. Everybody believes they can beat Man City. So, and once teams have that mindset, it's finished for you.
Moving on, there have been a lot of controversy concerning some transfers this season, with Gyökeres moving from Sporting to your club Arsenal, Isak to Liverpool, Yohan Wissa, Brentford to Newcastle. So my question is, with Isak, with all these controversies now, we know how Isak didn't turn up for pre-season training. He was just making a statement. I don't want to play for this club again. I want to move to Liverpool. Same thing with Gyökeres, same thing with Wissa. Wissa even removed Brentford from his Facebook page as a protest. So it was on the deadline day, almost the three players I mentioned finally got their move to Liverpool. And there's this unique transfer situation that happened with Maguire and Liverpool. Fabrizio actually posted that he has finished his medicals, because we know he actually submitted a transfer request that he wants to move to Liverpool, but he was respectful about it. There was no, fight, or he was playing up for training pre-season, played all their games this season, and finally it looked like he was moving to Liverpool, done his medicals. Even I saw some clips on the internet. He has made a video saying goodbye to Crystal Palace, and at the end of the day, that day did not move through. He didn't end up signing for Liverpool. I heard the club called him back. And what do you think? Do you think with this issue now it will affect transfers from next season, when players now want to move to new club? They want to follow the Gyökeres, Wissa, and Isak way, instead of being respectful and following their contract. So I don't know, what is the future of transfer with this?
Well, the thing here is, for me as an individual, I just feel the transfer saga was quite laborious, because Isak, for me, at the end of last season, he should have started the process then. I believe he just started it late. The whole process started, and it's from that moment that they said Liverpool had approached Newcastle. That was when this drama started. So I feel it's something they should have started from the end of, or the beginning of, the transfer window. They would have.
But I heard he put in like he actually, it's like from him. He said he sat with the club and told them.
That was what we heard now at the tail end, but that was not what we heard from the onset. And Newcastle wanted Ikitike. It was because Newcastle rejected Liverpool's transfer approach that Liverpool went to go and sign Ikitike, and now he came back again and bought this sack again. So, but however, I don't know what transpired behind the scene. But all I'm just trying to say is that it should have been earlier, so that it gives them ample time to, find replacement and have other issues. The guy that Newcastle bought, Bayern wanted that guy for some time, but I think it was because of the price. I think Bayern stopped at 40 or 45, and the club was requesting for 60 or so. That was Stuttgart now, right?
Yes, from Stuttgart.
Then Newcastle now came and paid up to 80. It's because of the timeline too. So that's just it. Then for Gyökeres too, like I said, we don't know what transpires behind the scene, and the clubs will also know that sometimes the players are not interested in the journey. They are interested in the price, and most of them, they're already in their prime. Players are already approaching 27. They just have a few years to retire. What's the average retirement for football players? 30, 31, 32. They're already done. They are going towards US or Saudi Arabia and all that. So they want to win now. So the clubs too should also understand. For a club like Brentford, for instance, how can you withhold Wissa at 29? You should also consider the players too. You can't, and you're not ready to win anything. I remember back then when Fabregas wanted to leave Arsenal. He forced his way, but not in this manner. I think now things have changed. They don't show up for training and all that. But Fabregas had to even put his money in that transfer. He had to give up some funds or something so that he could push that transfer to Barcelona. And the reason is because he wanted to win a trophy. because he felt he was at his prime, but it didn't actually work out favorably for him because as at then Barcelona had the likes of Xavi, Iniesta in the midfield. There was no role. They had to subject him to playing either the left wing or something and striker. So it didn't work out. So he eventually came back to Chelsea and still won what he wanted to win. So those transfers, I think there are things to consider. One, the players, are they in their prime? If they're in their prime and you know your club does not have what it takes to give them the desired trophy, because that's how they'll be remembered. Nobody's going to remember them that Isaac was a good player. They're going to remember, oh, the team that won Premier League, so. These are the list of players. This is how they record. This is how they brag. It's more like that's how they brag. So it's like going to school without actually graduating. So they need to graduate. So those clubs too, they need to consider them too as well. So it's diabolical to withhold a player that wants to leave for greener pastures. I think they should put in some of those clauses to address it going forward. But as for the way in which they went about it, it might be acceptable to some people, and to some people it might not be acceptable. But in the end, they got their wish, and
just like you said, player careers actually, I can actually understand from some of these players, like you're in your 25, 26, like Isak now is in his prime, he's playing the best football of his life, and where he can actually win those trophies in Liverpool. So if he should stay back in Newcastle next season, he will be 26 or 27, and there is no telling what will happen during the season if we have injury or whatever, and clubs might not be interested to buy him. So you look at where you are in football, and football is very brutal. Once it leaves you behind, your career is finished. And clubs, and we should also understand that club is about business. As much as we don't like when the player is trying to force a move. Clubs, when clubs wants to push you out, they don't care whether they just sell you without whether you like it or not. So it goes both ways. Just that there should be a clause in this. I don't know how this contract goes, but I think there should be a clause when you're signing some of these things. There should be an agreement with the club. Please, when I get to those and so stage, I should be allowed to.
No, they do. Some of them they even try to bring down the price, their release clause, if you want to sell them. So they don't sell them for an outrageous amount and nobody will be able to afford them. Like Guy Corrales for Sporting, he had some of those negotiations with them and all that. So they do.
We've talked about the transfers, player movements from one club to the another. So with this our conversation now, which club is better positioned now to actually go on and win the Premier League? We know the rivalry now. Everybody is saying Liverpool, Arsenal, who is going to win it, but clubs like Chelsea also did some good business in the market. Like, which other clubs are actually in the position to actually go on and win this Premier League?
Well, for that aspect, the thing here is I'm going to be sentimental about it. I feel currently, as of today, Arsenal is best positioned to win the Premier League because consistently we have had second position for like 3 seasons going, and all we kept on saying that we just need to address some. So right now we have addressed those issues, which is we didn't have a striker, and we even improved on our defense. And also, I think currently Arsenal should be, if in the probability sampling, Arsenal should have a higher probability. Then also Chelsea too. I don't want to underrate Chelsea. Chelsea, they are the current holders of the Club World Cup. They won the Conference League. Yeah, they won the Conference League, and they're actually doing well. They have quite young talents that have actually gelled. They have Casado, Palmer. They brought in Pedro, they have Neto,
Delap.
They have Delap. They have quite some good players. So I also expect them to challenge too as well. Then Liverpool is always, they're always in that picture. Liverpool, judging by the amount people have spent in the transfer, if you want to translate it to points, you guys will actually be favorites. But
we are favorites. It's not Liverpool.
Like I say, you people have not actually gelled, so I don't see people actually winning it currently because people still need some time. Those players don't understand Salah. If you watch your team, you could see it. Obviously, they don't understand Salah. They don't. It's more like individual brilliance. Even all the goals Ekitike scored, there is no fluidity in the team currently. There's a lot of sloppiness. But hopefully, let's see how it goes.
I still strongly believe Liverpool is a very big contender, even ahead of Arsenal. There's nothing you can tell me. Yes, I know there will be some changes. The players will need adapting, but I think winning our first 3 games of the season is a good motivation for them to actually, play better. There will be a few moments of, but I think, weaknesses. But I think with the money we've spent, we have almost the 2 best strikers now in our team. I think we can actually go on and win. And Chelsea too. Nobody should underrate.
No. Chelsea definitely are in that conversation. Yeah, plus or minus Pep Guardiola, Man City. But I have a lot of doubts and reservations with Man City.
So we are ruling out Pep. It's Pep.
No, it has already been ruled out.
No. For some reason, because of what he has done, like winning Premier League back to back to back, that man is a very intelligent coach. I know he's having some difficulties with his new signings gelling, but I still believe he will still find a way to get that team running. And don't forget that Rodri is back. Like, even they lost their game against Brighton, but I watched that game and I saw how he was actually commanding that midfield, telling the young boys in the team what to do, how to move forward. They were lacking that last season while he was injured. And I saw that and I think consequent training and playing with him, and it will be a motivation to actually. And I believe Pep. I know that Pep will always find a way. Do you understand?
Well, for me, Pep, Pep, you see, before there was this fear factor against Man City that once they come at you, you will definitely cave. But currently, any team feels they can. There was this team in Saudi Arabia that beat him during the Club World Cup now.
Yes, Al Hilal.
And Co. They beat him comfortably and knocked him out of it.
Yeah.
So, and if you look at it too, what's this guy? They are weaker now in their defense. They sold Akanji. They released Jack Grealish. These are good players. So then they don't have a proper De Bruyne replacement.
Jack Grealish didn't even actually do well with Man City. Like,
but
I think I can understand him. Yes, like he didn't blend well with
but he's doing well with Everton.
style of play.
No, that season that the last league they won, he did well now. He was very
he did well. He was instrumental, but
yeah.
I think that was a part of his game that I think Pep actually took away from him. But because when he was playing at Aston Villa, he had freedom. He could go at players, dribble, and I think how Pep plays his football. Give me, I give you type of football. I think there was a restriction in his game. He doesn't dribble as much as he did when he was at Aston Villa. He was the main man there. He could dribble, shoot, and he's already doing it at Everton. Like, he has freedom. He can do, but I think in Man City he was, restricted. I think he was like a robot. I think he was playing to instruction. Do this, and if you don't do it as I want you to do it. But at the end of the day, I still think Pep still has what it takes to actually challenge. If he can sort out his issues.
He will challenge, but not for the Premiership. He will challenge for top 4, but for Premiership, no. They will beat him more than the draws he's going to have this season.
Let's see how it goes.
They will beat him because a lot of teams have strengthened. There is Tottenham. There is
Tottenham have already even beaten them already.
Yeah. There's Newcastle. Man U, we still expect them to come up.
No. They are not yet ready. Man U is not ready for this. They are not in the conversation.
I don't expect them to challenge, but what I mean is that they will come up to cause disruption to some of these big boys. They could draw you, they could even beat you if you're not properly prepared. They will definitely struggle with the small teams, but for the big boys, there's just this thing about them. They know that, we are going to play our rival. They see big boys like that. That's how they played Arsenal. And then the next match, they are struggling with the other teams. We'll be all right.
I know it's too very early this season, but do you think there's a coach under pressure now to perform or lose your job?
Well, there are coaches currently that I know that are under pressure, regardless of how we choose to look at it. Ateta is one of them, because all along, he sold us the process that we should respect the process. We should be hopeful, that a time like this will come, and that time has.
It has already elapsed. I think he's on
No, the time has finally come.
Extra time.
The time has finally come. So we have everything he requires. So you must do a proper dish and serve it to him.
He really needs to win the league.
So he's under pressure.
I know some of the comments he makes sometimes when he comes to press conference, how he finished with how many points, 92 points behind Man City, and he did. I mean, this is not what fans need to hear. Even while Klopp was in Liverpool, he forgot Klopp finished 97 points and ended up not winning it.
Definitely.
He ended up 92. All these reasons with we are doing well, we did this. No. What's the time for excuses have elapsed now?
So he's under pressure, and Slot too is under pressure because of the amount of investment in that team. He needs to part with something. I'm not saying he should win the Premier League, but he needs to come back. He can't come back empty-handed this season. Something must give.
I strongly believe we'll win the league. Don't worry, it's not Liverpool. Trust me. No, you're looking at it from an Arsenal angle.
No. I'm not looking at it from an Arsenal. I'm looking at it from the proper angle, because right now he has won the league. So winning the league is one thing. How about if his priority right now is to win the Champions League? He pays more attention to the Champions League, and the Premier League will suffer. Eventually, he won't win the Champions League, and he won't come and win the league. You don't have that level of investment and just focus on the Premier League. So, and to a large extent, I don't feel Liverpool really have a very strong bench this season.
Yes, I agree with you on that one.
The bench is weaker compared
to last season.
There was Jota on that bench. There was Nuno guy that went to
Darwin Núñez. Even though he had his moments,
yeah, but he was just there.
He was contributing. He contributed.
There was Elliot.
Yes, we sold too many players. Exactly. We shouldn't have sold at the goal.
Exactly. So these are some of the issues you are going to have going forward. Unlike we have first 11, second 11 now. That's why we have both first 11, second 11. We even have third. So.
You better win the league with all this. Second 11.
We are hopeful.
So finally, there's one topic I want us to look at, and that is VAR. How VAR is affecting the originality of our game in the Premier League. Like I'll use this Chelsea Fulham game as an example. That foul that ruled out that beautiful goal, that was, I think, that was not a foul. That was just two players coming together, and these are all part of the physical aspect of the game that makes this football very beautiful. And my problem is that we've seen such error happen time and over again, and at the end of the day, Premier League referee will come out and say, yes, this shouldn't have happened, it was a goal. And like, with all the technology, best camera angles they have, they still, and VAR is supposed to make this game, perfect. Even though football, I don't believe football should aim for perfection. There should be there's all this moment of weakness, and other team capitalize on it, and it all makes the game very sweet. What do you think we should do about it? Is VAR affecting the originality of the game? Is it also affecting, taking away points and changing how the game? Because I know that if that goal would have been given against Chelsea versus that Fulham, I think Fulham would have gone on to either win the game or draw the game. It could have changed how that game could have ended. And it's also happened against Liverpool last 2 seasons with Tottenham. You remember that goal Luis Diaz scored, and a goal that he was on onside, and then referee ruled it out on offside. So what do you think? What's your opinion? Is VAR taking away the?
For me, VAR has removed the. VAR has actually removed the exciting aspect of the game. That's how I see it. Because the beauty of football is the unpredictability.
Yes.
That instant adrenaline, like the days of Maradona, that hand of God. It just goes and it goes. You can't look back and reverse the decision. So long they've blown the whistle, we move to the next step. But VAR has actually removed that aspect of football. Football is more predictable now. It's more stereotyped, that everything is under scrutiny. You screen everything and all that. Like that match about Chelsea Fulham, that match was totally uncalled for, because the guy had already scored the goal, and you could see that he was trying to do one of these skills, and incidentally now turned with the other leg and stepped on the other player. But that was not. It wasn't the primary intention. Even though later they now came out and cleared the air that it was actually supposed to stand. But look at the issues. Now they've lost the momentum because, like you said, if they had scored that goal, the dynamics of that match would have changed. Either Chelsea will be a bit restrictive, not to concede more. Or Fulham will go all out
and win the game and score more goals. Or what's going towards draw.
Exactly. So these are some of the issues, the unpredictability about VAR that is actually killing the game. But sometimes it favors you, sometimes it goes against you. That's just the bit. If it's your team, there's some goals they score and they when they cancel it, you get excited. But in all sincerity, the VAR needs to be reviewed properly.
I think so. That there should be they should look at how they operate that VAR, because it's taking away. For me, I don't like VAR. It's taking away what makes the game beautiful. Because you see a player score a very beautiful goal, instead of running to celebrate, he's looking at both linesman to see the reaction, looking at the away fan. And
and waiting for VAR to decide actually a goal.
And even when it's decided, that moment you would have used to celebrate and go all out will no longer be there. So my own is, even if they want to continue using the VAR, they have to be accurate. At least 80% accuracy should come into using of VAR. The idea of VAR is good, but I think human error is actually killing the original idea of using VAR in the Premier League. So we have actually come to the end of our podcast, and I enjoyed my conversation with you, and we'll definitely be doing this more.
You're welcome. So we're here for you.
Yeah, but I actually believe that we're going to win, irrespective of whatever you think Arsenal have done. Let me tell you honestly, you bought Gyökeres as a striker. Yeah. I've watched some of his game in Sporting. He scored a lot of goals, but he didn't do well against big teams, and he scored most of his goals with those lesser teams at the table. So he really needs to do more to convince me that he's the striker you people actually.
I hope you watched him yesterday night.
No, okay, Sweden, Slovenia. I watched a part of the game.
He scored 4 goals or so.
No,
Isaac was in the same team with him.
No, I didn't watch the game, so
I look at it again.
I didn't know what happened.
Well, I was in the same team with him.
Anyway, that's on international duty, playing Slovenia. I'm talking about in Premier League. Should be coming up against defenders like Van Dijk, Man City, Luis Diaz, coming up defenders like Maguire. He will really need to do. I think a lot of expectations on him, because this guy is somebody people are bringing in as the last piece of the puzzle to help people win the Premier League. Do you understand? Like the previous season, the reason is that people don't have a striker. You've gone on to buy a striker. There's a lot of weight on, a lot of expectations is heavily placed on him. So he really needs to.
We are optimistic.
Okay.
We are hopeful.
I hope he plays out for you people.
We are optimistic. We are hopeful, and we know that we are going to deliver eventually.
Our prayer is that he doesn't deliver. In Jesus' name. All right. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
See you next time.
It's been a nice time.
All right. Thank you.